Now I would like to call upon stage, back on stage in fact, Alok Mehta from Atom Technologies, and he's going to have another workshop, a quick workshop on payment solutions for retail and e-commerce. Mr. Mehta, you have to start the workshop on the stage. Thank you.
So we'll primarily discuss about the payment solutions that are available or what you should look out for when you're starting up on an e-com site or a web retail kind of thing. So the basic facts as of now have about 1.2 billion people with about 900 million mobile connections, about 120, this is slightly in old data, so about 120 odd internet subscribers. Mobile payments has been in for now, somewhere around 7 years. RBI introduced some of the new guidelines about 5 years ago, which eased out certain activities like IMPS, and with the launch of RuPay card, which is primarily an India specific credit or a debit card. From the push that we're getting from the regulator, I think a lot of things would slowly start moving towards e-payments. So how and what is it that we need to look at for when you start up an e-payment or a collections, from a collections perspective is what I would primarily discuss today. Generally, when you start up, the most important thing is when you start, you look out for is where your customers are targeted, whether they are domestic or international. Are they from a metro or from across India? And if it's across India, is it really urban or rural? Whether they're going to be facing only internet, or they have internet and other channels, or they're going to have no internet and only other channels. And of course, the delivery model in terms of how and what you need to deliver to your customer. So using this as a base, what all options do you have? Primarily 4 models: internet, which is standard e-com that you talk about, IVR, which is primarily voice-based payments, mobile application, and point-of-sale terminal, which is primarily for a brick-and-mortar establishment. So there are cases where people are migrating from brick-and-mortar to internet, or from internet to brick-and-mortar. So looking out for synergies into these applications, or channels for that matter. What technology functionalities do you look at for in terms of when you start off? So if you are on internet, what do you look out for? Are there, primarily from a payments perspective, are there standard integration kits available? Are you going to use any kit like a Joomla or a Magento or OpenCart or any of these? Are there, so whether you are going to use shopping carts, whether you're going to use kits, whether you're going to use, so how are you going to build your website? Basis that, what options do you have available as part of the payment systems? That is what we need to look at. Obviously, security is the most important piece. And the next is, do you have an option where you can send an email to a customer and offer a link where they can kind of primarily pay on the fly side of thing on the internet? Apart from this, what you can also look out for is in terms of options and privileges that these payment providers would provide you. Like, do they provide you, in case if your product is probably a high ticket value product, do they offer EMIs? If yes, what sort of EMIs do they offer? How do they process EMIs? Do they offer something called discount engine, where you can offer, if you can offer a discount for your customers instead of you building the entire engine for yourself? Do they offer any other services that you can look out for? Similarly, like on internet, of course, IVR is the second piece, where Now, if you look at it from an IVR perspective, primarily it's something which almost all of us have, which is a phone. And using this phone over the voice, if you can pay, I think that's something which can drive commerce like anything. Reason being, I'm on the move, I may not have a smartphone, or I may not have an internet connection on the phone at that point in time, but I would still, most of the time, have voice connection. So using voice, if I can pay, that's something which I would love to do. May not be applicable in all cases, like so that way. So primarily it's how you would perceive, and from an end consumer perspective, what option do you want to give to the end consumer? Now, if it's a brick and mortar store, I would have a footfall where people come in and check on check on the products. For whatever reason, if I do not have a product which I cannot deliver at that point in time, what do? I essentially lose a customer. With using the IVR, what I can actually do is, I can set up a call with the customer saying that if and when I get a product in hand, can I deliver it to you? Can I give you a call? And if yes, would you be ready to make a payment on the phone? So there you retain a customer, you are engaging with the customer and saying that yes, once the product is with me, excuse me, I can deliver it to you and you can pay online on the phone. So that's something which we can look out for. Mobile app, anyways, from a mobile app perspective, I would say there are multiple ways of showcasing or getting onto a mobile space. One, creating your own app. Two, get on an app where, so a panel before this was talking about consolidation on mobile app. Giving an experience of a mobile app which can do multiple things in a single app. So that's something where we can look out for. You can list your app with a couple of players who can actually take your product as part of a service offering on their app with obviously a logo space for you. And of course, as a white label app that you would want to have it for yourself for a brand value, that's something as an alternative. Point of sale terminal anyways is a common thing which any brick and mortar would essentially start with if they want to take e-payments instead of a cash. Kiosks, again, is something similar to internet, I mean, a mix between internet and POS kind of thing. So these are the different channels available where a customer can be engaged, or a touch point where the customer can be engaged from a payments perspective. What do you look out for when you're signing up a payment processor? Now, essentially, when I say payment processor, can we go directly to a payment bank or an acquirer directly and sign them up? The answer is yes. But what happens then? I get only one bank payment gateway, and I get only one bank. How do I get multiple banks? Do I go and integrate with all the banks? Probably yes, if we have a good liberty of time and manpower to create those integrations. One, create and then manage. If no, then the second alternative is go to a payment processor who has already built these connectors and also provides you with connectors, kits for you to get integrated with your website and start rolling. Now, from selecting a payment processor perspective, what should you look out for? One, and the foremost thing, depending on your business, do you need omni-channel or a single channel? If it's single channel, then the perception or the way you look at it from a payment processor perspective is different. And if you're omni-channel, then the perception would differ. Because if you have to have a presence on multiple channels, then you need to have one single provider which will provide you all of these. Otherwise, you would end up creating a team of only reconciling the funds that you receive from these payment providers. Of course, the pricing is the foremost thing that happens, but along with pricing, it should also not such happen that the pricing is too low that they are just not able to service you at a later point in time. when I say getting MIDs, this is what I was talking about. When you go to a bank or you go to a payment processor to get a credit card or a debit card integration done, what do you get? You would get a merchant identifier from a bank, which you would provide to your payment processor, or the payment processor would provide it to you by liaising directly with the bank on your behalf. What do you need for that? A complete set of KYC documents, which includes right from the fact that if it's a company, the list of directors, the signatories, the registration of company registration documents, PAN cards, etc. Depending on the type of company or you are, or a corporate you are, it will differ. And that's something which, before you sign up, you need to be ready with. Because this is where most of the time is a delay. One document missing and your go live would practically go helter-skelter. So basically, that's what you look out for. Second is provide accurate information about your business, because that's the very important thing, because this is where your pricing model would work on. If you are a utility company, the pricing models are different. If you're in education, the pricing models are different. If you're in e-com, and in e-com, if you sell electronics, the pricing model is different. Depending on the pricing model, depending on your business, the pricing models differ. And of course, when you're on the website, on the e-com, ensure that the terms and conditions clearly specify the shipping policy, refund policies, the consumer grievance, cell identified properly. All of that has to be in place before we start off. If it's not, then probably at a point in time you may face an issue. Settlement process, something, of course, what happens essentially is the payments come through from your customers at the time, immediately, and you get a confirmation immediately, but the funds come from primarily a day after or 2 days later. From a regulatory perspective, you're supposed to get within 3 days max, but most of the time it's generally the next day that you get the money, except for probably few cases where it may get into second day, but essentially most of the time it's T+1 which you get paid on. This also should include, and for that matter, when you say about settlements, the most important thing, a part of the settlement is also the refund processing. How easy is it for you to ask for a refund so that your customer need not get irate and get back to you, and how quickly is it processed? Whether you're out of pocket as far as refund goes, when I say out of pocket, if you are not transacting on a regular basis, if you do not get transactions on a regular basis, what happens then? What does the payment processor do in terms of a refund if there's no funds? Do they fund from their pocket and give it? The answer is no. How do you do that? All of these are the things which you need to know before you start up, right? So primarily, if you look at it from payments perspective, more or less any and every payment processor that you find available from an e-com perspective are at par with each other. With a few takes here and there, you would find features, X number of features in X, Y number of features in Y, and maybe an add-on here and there. What you need to essentially look at is how are you being serviced? What are the differentiators that you get from a payment processors? Apart from the basic payment gateway that they offer you. Basic payment gateway is something that you would get from any and everyone, but what others? What else? That's what is very important. How is your payment processor managing your risk and fraud? When I say risk and fraud, especially when you're dealing in accepting international cards, that's something of very high risk. How do you manage that? What is it? What guarantees or what support does your payment processor give you in such cases? These are things which you need to look out for. I think that's, I mean, primarily what I would want to say as far as an information perspective that I goes. I'm open for questions that you would want me to answer.
Any questions to Alok on his presentation that he has just given? Anyone? No.
I think it's pretty much, I mean, if you look at it from a perspective of payment space, it's pretty much very standard now, and most of the people who are startups or who want to start know how and what they need to do as far as payments go. It's just that they need to be extra careful when they select the payment processor in terms of what offerings they give, that's all.
Okay. Can we have a big round of applause for Alok Mehta? Thank you, sir.